HydeDoesArt has a very painterly anime style with muted colors, so I really enjoyed breaking down his art style. I used these drawings from his Instagram as reference, as well as gathered what I could from some speed paints he has on there too. As always, the first thing to do before studying an art style is decide the most important parts you want to focus on. So in my case, I really like his color palette and messy painting style, so I focus on that the most on top of everything else. First, let's go over the proportions. He has a pretty typical anime style, so for the most part, you can just follow those rules. But some things to take note of are the eyes, which are a bit big, but he does include a full eye length between the eyes and not just 3/4 to half an eye length. In terms of the nose, he does use the typical anime nub, but he does include a kind of top part of the nub, so it's not just the bottom part. In terms of the length of the face is a pretty regular length. If you take the space between the eyes and the eyebrows, you can basically stack that about 4 to 5 times and I'll give you the length of the face. Lastly, his shoulders are a bit on the wider end, being a full width of the head rather than half to 3/4. Let's get into the line art. I think sometimes they'll have smoother line art, but for the most part, they seem to like to use a brush that gives it some texture, more specifically looking like a pencil. In Clip Studio Paint, I used a brush called Pencil HB, which I'm pretty sure I got from the asset store, but as long as it has a pencil texture, it should be fine. The line art is a bit messy, so you can leave some scratches in the final piece. Plus, the line art will get painted over later after the rendering phase. Lastly, the line art around the face is often colored a darker color than the skin. Not painted over, just a change of the actual line art layer itself. Personally, I used the dense watercolor brush to give it a more softer application. Alright, let's get into rendering. For the colors, like I mentioned earlier, he uses really muted colors. So basically, you'll want to stay on the left side of the color wheel, square. Either way, you want to stay on the left side of where all your colors are. He doesn't usually use anything on the right side unless he wants something to really pop or stick out. In order to get the shadows, we want to take our base color and move it down and to the right. And for the lighting, we do the same thing, but we move it up and to the left. If we want to add a bit more color variation in our piece, we'll also move the hue around a little bit. From what I can tell, I think he uses a mix of both methods. In some colors, it looks like he shifted the hue, and in others, he didn't really shift the hue that much. I think that helps give the overall piece a little bit more of a mix between muted with some vibrant areas. In terms of the actual painting process, they get the base color down and then start adding the details on top. I haven't had a chance to catch a stream in a while, but last I saw, they were using the dense watercolor brush for this. However, I did notice some texture mixed in, so I'm pretty sure they use a mix of a brush like the dense watercolor brush for a lot of maybe the bigger pieces or a lot of strokes, while also using something with more texture, like maybe the line art brush that we were using, or maybe some sort of gouache brush, just to add some texture in different places. He would like to add texture. I think they might also mess with gradients a little bit as well, since it seemed like the lighting for the hair in his snow piece is done with the help of a gradient. Once most of the rendering is done, we'll also want to add a layer on top of the line art layer to add in the final details and paint over any stray lines we don't want. Basically, this helps give it an even softer look. I often see him paint over the line art, especially with where the hair is. Hello again. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Last week, I had a poll at the end of last video about who to study next, and Haley and Stage won by a long shot, so they're going to be the next art style study. I have now put up a brand new poll that goes up at the same time this video goes live, so make sure to go and vote, and whoever wins by the time the next episode is released will be who is studied next. I already have a pretty long backlog of artists that have been requested, so I keep swapping them into the polls every single week, but if there are any artists specifically that you would like to see, make sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I will add them to my backlog, and they will eventually at some point show up in the polls for you to vote on. But okay, that's it. Bye bye.